Hello and welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm John Bachman. Joining me right now on the phone from Washington, D.C. is Senator Johnny Isakson. He comes from the great state of Georgia and he serves on the Senate Finance Committee. Thanks for calling in, Senator.
Glad to do it. Good to be with you.
All right, first, let's take a look at where things stand with Congress and Syria following the president's highly anticipated address Tuesday night and the development of this Russian diplomatic proposal. Senator, you had recently come out and said that you were going to vote against the president's plan authorizing a military strike. I want to get your take on the president's speech Tuesday night, and now that we've had a bit of time to let that sink in, where you think things are headed and what you're hearing from your colleagues on the Hill.
Well, what I'm hearing from the colleagues prior to the speech last night was a concern from Americans across the board about another military engagement in the Middle East and the lack of a clear definition of what the strategy would be in a military attack. That's one of the reasons that the president decided to pull the resolution, and I applaud him for doing that. The Russian proposal, which gives us a diplomatic way to accomplish the same goal, would obviously be preferable, but the devil is always in the details in terms of international negotiations and dealing with the Russians. But hopefully we can find a way to find common ground, sequester the gas, get it out of the hands of Assad, and have a third-party entity like the UN or a coalition of UN members overseeing and inspecting it. So we have the ability before us to accomplish a goal of getting the gas out of the hands of Assad and doing it diplomatically, and I hope that's the way it happens.
And so Secretary of State John Kerry is headed off to Geneva to meet with Russia's Foreign Minister, President Obama, Secretary Kerry, and the State Department today, again, pushing this idea that this was a result of the threat of U.S. military action. That's what actually led to this diplomatic development.
I think they're exactly correct.
All right, so that was my question. You agree with that? There's also this thought coming from Senator Rand Paul, who says it's this anti-war movement, which you kind of alluded to in your first answer. Which one of those do you think was more persuasive in kind of setting up where we are today?
The power of the United States of America is always the most persuasive thing we have, as long as the will of the American people is united behind it. And I think the potential that the United States military carries to carry out the stated goal of getting rid of the gas was a major factor in the people looking for a diplomatic solution. Assad was not going to come up with it on his own, but the Syrian enabler is Russia, and once the Russians came forward with that, I think Assad immediately said they would sign the chemical weapons accord agreement, which they're one of the 4 countries in the world that aren't a signatory to, which indicates we got their attention, so hopefully that's what will happen.
All right, and so what do you need to see resulting from this meeting in Geneva between Kerry and the Russians that will prove to you and to the rest of Americans that this is in fact a credible idea and that it can be accomplished?
Well, that's the type of question that you can't really answer. So what do you need to see? What we obviously want to see are the chemical weapons in the hands of a third party with fair and unbiased inspectors validating that they're all out of Syria. That's what we want to see happen. What will happen, I'm sure, in the negotiations in Geneva between the Russian and American diplomats will be the road as to how you get to that point. But there's not one single thing other than us getting those gases sequestered and out of Assad's hands that'll end the problem.
And I guess a lot of folks are wondering, there's been so much back and forth between the Russians and the United States, somewhat an adversarial relationship as of late. Are they some group of people we can trust to work with on something like this?
Well, you have to remember, the Russians joined us at the end of World War II to defeat the Nazis. We weren't necessarily the best of buddies before, nor were we after, but the common goal was accomplished, so hopefully the same type of success would take place here.
All right, and we've also heard from another foreign policy experts, including former CIA and NSA Director Michael Hayden, that whatever the U.S. response might have been or might still be in Syria, it is important that it demonstrates American resolve to Iran and some of our other adversaries. That said, Wednesday, Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said that he hopes that this U.S. promise to pursue diplomacy to remove the threat of chemical weapons is a serious one. What kind of message do you think this diplomatic solution is sending to Tehran and some of our other adversaries around the world?
Well, Tehran is politically astute in what they say and do, and you cannot judge what they may or may not be thinking because of one particular move. So they're a political body, pardon me, and so are the Ayatollahs.
And so if there is some success here with Russia, of course has a tight relationship with Iran as well. Do you think there might be other developments that could stem from this, perhaps kind of working to deter Iran even further from developing their nuclear program?
It's entirely possible. I mean, it could be a precursor to a diplomatically negotiated agreement with the Iranians, and we would welcome to have that with inspectors, third-party sequestration, and all the protections you need to have to make sure they're not making fissionable nuclear material. So hopefully that would be one end result.
All right. Well, Senator Johnny Isakson from Georgia, thank you so much for being with us. A pleasure speaking with you as always, sir.
Always great to be with you. Thanks.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.